Hello, welcome to Scott's Odyssey. Today's journey takes us deeper into the Trough Creek State Park's history and sites. Along this great Trough Creek, we find a location of a rock wall that glows with numerous colors and shades of blue, silver, orange, red, white, green, and yellow. The beauty and hues change both seasonally and during the time of day. Known as iron 2 sulfate or even ferrous sulfate, generally created as a byproduct of pyrite in coal and iron. Welcome to the aptly named, but not for its appearance, by what it really is, Copperas rock. See you in a minute. Welcome back. Although this area was originally known for its iron ore mining and forging, we find ourselves at a location that's not the byproduct of that work, but rather a geological process that is referred to as an erosion remnant. Erosion remnants are part of a very long erosion process that takes place over millions of years, and for whatever reason, the process skipped or was interrupted from completing its process specific to this point. Copperas rock was once part of a large mountain that was slowly eaten away by the Great Trough Creek, which still flows at its feet even today. As the creek meandered back and forth across the valley floor, it has slowly undercut this entire cliff face above. We can actually see how the creek cut out just a few inches or a few feet at a time, and then it meandered away just to come back in another few hundred years and cut some more away from this cliff again and again and again over millions of years. Technically, copperas is a term meant for blue-green melanterite, which is a hydrous iron 2 sulfate or ferrous sulfate. But the term here may have been used to describe the color of the rocks that were along the stream or the copperas that was once here in great abundance. Early settlers would have used copperas minerals as a mordant to fix colors in the dyeing of fabric and yarn. Either way, we're left with this beautiful outcropping known as Copperas rock. Along the base and going up and around the top of Copperas rock is the 1.1 mile moderate difficulty Copperas Trail, a still active remnant of the CCC building projects. Let's move up to the next site of interest along this park trail, and I'll see you in a minute. Based on the formation of our mountains here in Pennsylvania, there are a lot of different types of layers of rocks, some more porous than others. It's highly likely that there are a large number of air caves and tunnels, not much larger than pinholes, within the side of this mountain. The prevailing theory is that during the winter, the cold retained within the rocks of the mountain flows down the holes inside the mountain and is focused out through this single hole. This provides a concentrated point of cold air that manifests itself as a freeze point for the damp air within the opening. This process is reversed during the winter months when the ice mine actually pushes air that is warmer than the outside air through the hole. I'm not able to find much more information regarding the process of the ice mine, but based on my personal background in science, I do not conform with the prevailing theory. I believe it is much more likely, based on the size of the mountain and the terrain, the fact that the mine faces due north on the downside of a mountain hill, where most of the mountain's exposed face is due south, and the fact that this mine is dug 300 feet from the top of the ridge, there's a really good chance that some form of natural refrigeration process is taking place through convection, creating this phenomenal effect. Keep watching, because now we're going to move to the geological high point of this particular adventure. Pardon the pun. See you in a minute. Welcome back. At about 500 feet above the Great Trough Creek, we find a location of a rock that has just been sitting and waiting to fall down for a few million years. It's fallen at least once and done a lot of sliding and creeping along its former cliff face, which stood hundreds of feet taller at one time. But none of that falling, sliding, or creeping has happened since humans arrived on this continent. I welcome you to the Balanced Rock. The Balanced Rock is probably one of the most prominent geological features presented openly here at Trough Creek State Park. This rock started its life as a full-blown plateau that was slowly eroded away at both the top and from underneath by the aforementioned Great Trough Creek. A creek that doesn't seem to like to follow a single path, but rather weaves its way back and forth across the gorge floor that it slowly created. The manner in which this rock arrived at this point is best described in a picture that shows how different layers of geological formations were slowly weathered away by the Great Trough Creek, ultimately causing a situation where this large rock, it broke away on its own, only to never fully get washed away, even though his former attached layers had now long been washed down the Raystown Lake. The reason for rock formations such as this large box-shaped remnant is due to the fact that the Appalachian Mountains are the result of mountain formations that took place due to a tectonic rip, and the resulting wavy layers that came from this rip, they tend to have cracks in them. So instead of the rocks being slowly eroded away on their faces, they tend to get water into their cracks that freeze and then thaw, causing the rocks to compress, contract, and then push apart at different times during the year. As for what is meant by a tectonic rip, if you could imagine a deflated balloon that you stretch between your hands and you finally release one side, the resulting shape of the rubber will have large number of ripples that are similar to what happened to our planet during a rip between two tectonic plates. After the plates tear apart one from another, the resulting tension that was on each plate pulls back the land and causes the same type of ripples in the terrain. It's really neat when you think about the Earth's elasticity on its surface. This rock is formally referred to as an erosion remnant. There are several other rocks similar to this along the ridge, but none of them as pronounced. The sandstone block itself has probably not moved very far from its original position, but it's very long from where it once was and what it once looked like. The cliff that the rock has come to rest upon is also an erosion remnant, which is deeply undercut by the wiles of the Great Trough Creek. The combination of the resting point of the rock and the undercutting of the ledge on which it sits creates an illusion that the rock at any moment is going to fall. In all likelihood, the rock will remain just as it is for a few more million years. But it is always possible that a shift of grand magnitude can dislodge the beautiful remnant and send it falling hundreds of feet down to the Great Trough Creek. When this great rock does fall, the Great Trough Creek will finally devour all that remains over time, to a point at which this rock will be nothing more than a memory or a grain of sand flowing with the creek down into the depths of Lake Raystown. I hope you liked learning more about Trough Creek State Park. Let me know what you liked in the comments below. Jeremy, hit the little bell. Catch that next episode. Either way, I'll see you soon.